Hello everyone, my name is Eggs and Beans. Today I'm going to review Mulan. I just watched it. My thoughts are very fresh and unfiltered. I'm going to tell you exactly how I felt watching this movie, and this review will include spoilers. So if you have not seen Mulan, I kindly suggest, or you don't plan to see it, I kindly suggest wait. It's spoiled, okay? I'm gonna spoil the movie. I was about to put myself into a trap. Mulan is the remake of an animated film. Mulan. I think there were actually a few of them, uh, and it's the latest in the. Sorry if you hear a baby screaming. It's the latest in a long line of Disney live-action adaptations of classic animated films. All right, and I didn't go into this movie with high hopes. All right, I didn't go into it expecting to be blown away. As a matter of fact, I watched this film at 1.25x speed. All right, so what am I trying to tell you? All right, let me actually break it down. And I didn't make notes, so this is gonna probably not make sense. But let's talk about the story first of all. Now, Mulan's story is very, very basic. Like, it's got a premise, like it's set in ancient China or imperial China, I guess. And there are rules, right? Like, girls aren't supposed to fight in wars. Girls are just supposed to grow up and become wives, maidens, which are then chosen to be married off to men, right? Men fight all the important battles and wars, right? And in classical Disney fashion, the rules are broken in the first 20 minutes of the movie, right? Because it's following the most basic hero's journey trope of a hero is forced to leave home, right? To conquer an evil. And usually they have to break the rules. Because if they don't break the rules, they're just gonna end up like everybody else, an NPC, right? But our hero, like all heroes, has to break the rules to live. Cool. But what's not cool is it's played extremely straight. Like nothing in this film is surprising. Nothing in this film is gonna. Why am I talking as if you haven't seen the movie? Nothing in this film, let me speak in the present tense, not in the future tense. Nothing in this film blew me away, okay? Like, there was not a single, there was not a single twist, there was not a single surprise in this movie. This movie just, even though it had a premise of ancient China and rules where girls are not supposed to do anything, it did nothing. It just used that as an like it just said this it just it didn't matter. It didn't take advantage of the time period, right? It just told a generic basic story. Okay, I'm losing my train of thought. It told the most generic story, right? So basically it didn't do anything special with the time period. That's what I'm trying to say, right? You didn't see like how could they have taken advantage of the time period? They didn't tell like they didn't put a twist on it. I don't know what to say, but nothing really stood out to me. The action sequences. All right, that's enough of the story. Let's talk about like wow factor, right? The action sequences were not memorable whatsoever. They didn't get my blood pumping. They didn't make my heart go doki doki doki. You know what I'm saying? It was just serviceable fight scenes, quick cuts. They didn't lovingly render the action sequences. The action sequences were not choreographed by someone who clearly is in love with the genre. You know what I'm saying? Like the stuff you're seeing in Mulan has been done better by less well-known properties. Like I'm a dude who's watched tons and tons of Chinese fantasy dramas. Like the one that immediately comes to mind is The Untamed. That was the very first one that I watched. The Untamed has fantastic fight scenes. You know what I'm saying? And that's just a television show. It's not a hundred, probably $200 million motion picture from the biggest movie studio in the world, right? The fight scenes in this was so boring. I remember the fight scene from The Untamed episode 4. Like I remember it from the back, like the back of my hand, where Wei Wuxian is gets caught drinking in the premises of the whatever high place by Lanjan, and Lanjan challenges him in the moonlight, and they duel, and Lanjan glides gracefully like a butterfly during the fight, and it's just so clear in my mind. And Wei Wuxian, it's the first time you see him really fight, and he actually holds his own. You know, I remember those fight scenes. I will literally never forget that fight scene, and that's just from a TV show that the majority of the world won't even watch. You know what I'm saying? Mulan, like millions, maybe even close to a billion people are gonna see this movie. And it didn't have a single memorable fight scene, and it didn't have a single surprising story beat. Now, the music. The music in this film, there was just one theme, and I'm betting that this theme comes from the original movie because it just sounds so out of place amidst the rest of the soundtrack. Like there's the music that plays when the film is starting that sounds very much like what I hear from Chinese fantasy dramas. And then there's the main theme, like the Mulan theme that shows up during like really important story moments. But other than that, the rest of the music is just bland, is just plain. The music when you're just riding around in Ghost of Tsushima, like that's a video game. That music is way better than what you hear in this movie, and that music was composed by like a legend of the like what's his name again? Um, but something Umebayashi. I forgot his name. Okay, but he scored famous classic Chinese action films, right? Wuxia films, right? Right, and he did a bit. Anyways, I'm digressing. The music was just lame. The action sequences were lame. The set design didn't bother me that much because a lot of Chinese, which I'm used to Chinese fantasy dramas. They kind of look like they're shot on soundstage on sets. It doesn't look realistic. The film doesn't look, like anyone is really where they are. That's fine. I'm used to that, you know. But it didn't do anything to move the needle. This movie didn't do anything to innovate or, I feel like a lot of Chinese audiences are going to be bored by this movie. Like they're just not even going to care for it, Like Donnie Yen had some moments where he was doing cool things with his sword. Like, cause I guess he's an OG. Like he probably demanded in his contract that he have like some cool sword scenes, but they weren't like, they weren't like, they didn't show up at big moments in the story. But like it was just overall just an unremarkable movie. Like the story, like the big moments, the big emotional beats were not really earned. The only one that was kind of earned was the one right at the end when the dude is like, when Donnie Yen's character is like, You've brought honor to your family and the whole kingdom." That was cool. Because that moment was kind of earned. Because there's a lot of points in the movie where Mulan hears that lying about your identity will bring dishonor to your family, and she looks scared. And it's just that's a theme that runs throughout the movie. And her dad at the beginning is like, you know, you don't bring dishonor to us. Be a good daughter. So at the end, right at the very end, when Donnie Yen, he's a big dog. When he said that, and everyone in the village just looked um relieved and they looked happy. That was kind of earned. I I I, I kind of teared up. I kind of teared up at that point. Okay, kind of. All right, but really everything else was just unremarkable. The love story, it didn't really fit. They didn't even need that. We didn't even need that at all. Like nothing happened emotionally. It was just a story. You knew what was going to happen. It was just people going through the motions. It felt like a very stilted film. Okay. What else did I have a problem with? Jet Li. Jet Li was wasted in this movie. Like he just had a moment where he split a carpet in two and he used it to whip a bunch of soldiers. But other than that, like he didn't have a cameo scene. Ming Na Wen shows up at the end of the movie for like 3 seconds just to introduce Mulan. Did she voice Mulan in the animation? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. And is she even popular in China? I feel like once she went into Hollywood, like I don't know. Okay, guys, I don't know. But yeah, man, it was just an unremarkable movie. I mean, there was the chubby character. There was a moment you thought he was gonna die, and then he comes back. He shows that he's alive, and it didn't look. It wasn't. There was no threat. Like we didn't. Like the movie kind of moved too fast. It didn't like. It didn't dwell on any of its emotional moments. Like it did. It just a few of them. But like, just side characters, they were just cardboard characters. Yeah, I just it was a good time. It was no 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 no. It wasn't even a good time. It was a it wasn't was it a waste of time? It wasn't a waste of time. It was a good way to spend your time. If you have if I had 2 hours to kill, like I actually had 2 hours to kill, right? So this was a good use of my time because I did entertain my brain briefly, but it didn't show me anything that I will now want to see in another ever again in another movie. Like it didn't. Okay, it didn't show me anything outstanding. I probably am not gonna dream. Maybe I'll dream about this movie. But like even the Phoenix that appeared and like it didn't feel like it made really any impact. Like what did it represent? Did it represent womanhood? I don't know. And the king just supporting her claim. Like the king, in reality, the king would probably, as soon as Mulan saved him, he would get. In reality, he would pick up a sword and he would kill her. Really, because he made those laws. So he would probably be he's the one in charge of enforcing the laws. He's the number one person. Like if this movie happened in Saudi Arabia, right, and this chick decided to do this, like the king, honestly, she would have probably been put to death immediately if this happened in the real world. But anyways, what else? What did I want to say? And like the scene where the bird lady sacrificed herself, like it didn't make me feel anything. Sacrifices, heroic sacrifices, redemption, that's supposed to make you feel something. That didn't make me feel anything. Okay, so how could I rate this movie? I'm not, I'm gonna rate it. I'm gonna rate it a Kid Cudi hum out of 10, and not even an auto-tuned one, just an a cappella Kid Cudi hum out of 10. Thank you for watching this video. More movie reviews will follow soon. Goodbye.